Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the next episode of the Skader Things podcast. I am joined by my co-hosts, Obby and Blue. Hello, hello.
Hello.
Morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
This is an early morning episode for Blue and me.
Good morning.
Yes,
It is.
and it's an
8:14.
early afternoon episode for me, so I've got even more energy than I usually do for these things. So I'm pretty happy.
Our
balance has shifted.
scheduling this entire month of January has been absolutely
been
dog shit.
It's been a clusterfuck,
It's
and that's
been
putting it mildly.
The dog shit sitting in the dog water.
When you combine like just sort of like the coming off of sort of like the new year, when you combine me being deathly sick, when you combine like some difficult stuff going on in my life and my sort of mental health, and
It's
just
all Evan.
our
No one
life,
else has
it's-
problems on this
yeah.
podcast, apparently.
Nobody else has issues. Yeah,
No.
well, I was getting to those. Of course. There's some other.
I just love how you kept going on and on about your own problems.
he's
going.
Yeah, they're the only
It's like,
ones.
it's all Evan's
well, here's
fault.
the thing. Well, here's the thing, guys. Because I'm the biggest star on the show, the podcast really revolves around me. So if I can't record, nobody can record. So it doesn't
That is
matter if
true.
Obby has a bad day.
Next time it's just us. Okay? Just us.
I say to Obby, like, if he says, Evan, I can't do today, I'm feeling down, I just push through it, son. You gotta go to work and do things properly. If Blue says that she can't record because she's had an emergency, I say, no emergency is big enough to cancel an episode of Skader Things. But if I'm really tired and I
You
just
can't be bothered.
I just can't be bothered, then
You're
they
not
cancel
feeling it.
Literally, if you're just not feeling it, you know.
Not feeling it.
Yeah.
How dare.
Actually,
Go
this
ahead.
kind of goes into a little rant I have about like British sayings versus American sayings, because for a British, you can say like, I'm just not feeling it, but that could mean a wide like array of things. It could be he's sick. It could mean he has a headache. It could mean he stubbed his toe and he can't get past it. It could mean a lot of things, but it's just such a general term that British people use. Americans aren't general. We have to be fucking specific. I cannot be there and let me give you a 10-minute explanation why. And it's like
This is a
so
completely you problem. I can be very vague.
No, we don't in general though.
I would
Americans
say,
don't.
though,
We have to say, I don't want to go today because, and they will say, I can't be bothered. You see?
And I do get what you're saying, but in my personal experience, having spoken to many British and many Americans and just different cultures, I honestly would say this is more to do with the person and even just the day rather than the culture itself. I would say sometimes British people lean more towards generalities, but honestly,
no,
like,
they do. Look at Allie. Allie's a great example.
Yeah,
Both.
but again, I would
ours.
say
Can't be ours today.
But I would say like it's more. I would say though, like in general, it is more personality than it is culture. Just in my experience, like I've seen like both sides do it in both different ways. I've seen
We don't
some
really have the phrases though. That's the difference.
You don't. You don't have like
we don't
can't
say
be bothered.
I can't be bothered. No, I say it all the time now.
Yeah, you're right.
I say it all the time. What do you mean?
I've adopted that phrase, but prior to hearing you guys say it all the time, I didn't. I would say more like, I don't want to go today, but see, in American terms, that almost sounds rude. So you feel like you have to give an explanation. Would you like to go to the movies? I don't want to go today because I have a lot going on. Or I don't want to go today because I have a headache. We always feel the need to explain why.
I really do not have that problem, Blue.
You know you're a little you're a little bit more the exception. Like when it comes to like
that's
you will be more blunt. No.
Hold on.
Your personality's more blunt.
Hold on. So like when it came, okay, there's a reason why I'm like that. It is because of work culture. I was always given the like advice, never say why you are taking off work, because then they will make you feel guilty.
They'll use that against you.
Yeah, they'll use that against you.
Yeah.
So I took that advice to heart and made sure that like I am very genuinely vague whenever I don't want to go somewhere.
And now it's just your mantra. You're like, no. You will get the bare minimum. But that is, it's sorry. Go ahead. I just really wanted to finish saying what I was saying.
Carry on.
In the U, it is more typical Americans. We don't have those more generality, just very vague knows. We do tend to have to over explain so that we don't come off as rude. We don't. And yes, it could be a personality thing, but it is more of a
I think it more
generality.
more
The people that are more short like that, you tend to think are more
we
rude.
have we have I would say the British have more phrases for that, but I'm kind of apart from like recently, and that and that was more like the other day. I also usually am an over explainer, and that would be supposedly not the norm of British people. I usually give quite detailed explanations when I can't do something. I don't usually leave things out. I can't be bothered. The other day I did because I was just really like, I just was not having a good mental day, and I just didn't really have the sort of words to really go into like how I was feeling. But I usually am quite a detailed explainer as well of like why I'm not doing something. Like when I go to work, I like if I can't go into work, I usually give a pretty good explanation. Usually I'm very upfront
You
and
don't
very
take
like
Obby's advice to heart at work then.
no, no. But see, I would say though, and again, I can only really speak for my workplace. I would say that it seems from everything I've heard from like both British and Americans, I would say the work culture in America just seems a lot harsher on you if you don't go in. And we do, of course, have awful workplaces too. Like I'm not saying the British do it per se better. But I've noticed like I hear way more horror stories about working in an American company than I do a
What do you
British company.
mean? You mean like as far as
Like
like if you call in, you get
like
fired, that
sick
kind of
yeah,
thing?
like sick right, like sick days, like, well, what do you mean you're sick? You've got to come in. Like usually like it seems as though there is a little more compensation or sympathy to somebody here if they can't go in because they're sick. Whereas it seems the work culture in America just seems a lot more harsh. Like unless
I'd
you're
agree with
dying,
that.
you've got to come
It
in.
is very dependent on also where you work at. I have noticed that
Yeah,
companies
100%.
that are not always headquartered in the US, like one of the jobs I used to work for is technically headquartered, or their parent company is headquartered in Australia, and
Mm,
their like rules and regulations about like attendance and stuff are a lot more lax than a lot of other companies that I've seen that
yeah.
are
It's interesting.
more like headquartered and based in America, if that makes sense.
Would you
Also,
say
too,
I'll
I've
be
noticed smaller companies, like mom and pop kind of companies, like family owned, like smaller staff ones, seem to be a lot more understanding than
Oh
more
yes,
yeah,
corporate America.
I
Like,
that's
100%. I think
completely true.
and
I
I
worked for,
think the
oh, sorry, go
Mhm.
ahead.
No, you go on. Oh,
I
sorry.
did have a very brief job in like corporate America, I'll say, for a company, the very big company, and it was very cutthroat. You're sick, too bad. You come in anyway, and it was and then we're then going into a different field and a very small atmosphere. It was night and day. It's like, oh, you don't look like you're feeling well. Do you want to go home? And I'm like,
Yeah,
I can do that.
absolutely.
I can do
No,
that.
I
Like,
completely agree.
yeah. So
That's
I
and
think too, it
that's
depends on who you're working for. But you're
no,
right. You are general.
I
The
agree.
generality is correct.
In my personal experience, I would say that like I work at a very so I do work for a kind of a corporation of sorts. I mean, I work in like a supermarket and it's like a big chain here. But it does still have a very local feel. Like the culture of my workplace in particular feels very close knit. So when I'm sick, there's never an explanation needed. Like they know who I am. They know that I would never like, call in sick because I can't be bothered. Like there's always like concern. Like, are you okay? Like there was one time where I was literally sent home because I did not look right at all. Which I
Mm.
really admire. Like I
So
was
many
having a very
jokes.
off
Sorry.
yeah. I was having a very
Yeah,
off
you looked
day.
a
I
little
didn't
bit
look
more
right.
black than gray today.
Yeah, you're
So,
looking, yeah, I don't know,
So
Evan. You're looking a little
they
off.
yeah.
but I think it would seem and I would say too, and of course, like, and this is why I say the British are also guilty of this too. I would say we also do have many companies that can be awful to work for, and there are gonna be horror stories. So I don't think this is a uniquely American problem in any stretch. But it does appear that America's work culture is a little more corporatized on
Oh
average,
yeah.
which means that you're a lot more of a cog in the machine rather than like an actual person who needs a day off because you just physically can't come in.
That's
But
completely true.
Yeah, I
I
agree with
also
that.
do it. I do fully acknowledge too. I'm very lucky with my workplace. Like we really do look after each other at my job. Like there's a couple of like people who only work there briefly who like have kind of obviously not really been sick and like taken like 2 weeks off and been very unreliable, and we don't have much sympathy for those people.
Yeah, but
But
even
like
they got
everybody
away
else,
with murder. I know what you're talking
yeah,
about.
yeah.
And I was
See,
just like, I
there
remember how many
were
times I told you in
my
America,
boss.
they
Yeah,
would have been
yeah.
fired a long time ago.
Well, and that's the other thing too. My boss in general too is a little more like relaxed. But if we're ignoring that case that I know that you're talking about,
Mm.
we still like we still didn't harbor much sympathy for the people who we knew were just like manipulating or just were trying to cut out of work for no reason. But once you're there and you're established, if you're sick and you in general are like relatively reliable, then yeah, it's always like kind of a case of no problem, like get well soon. I was supposed to do extra shifts the week that I got sick this month. I was supposed to be in basically every day, cancelled every single shift. I felt so bad, but like there was never an explanation needed. It's like, I'm sorry, I'm still sick. I will not be in until probably next week when I'm feeling better.
And
I
you didn't get fired.
I
I didn't
kind of
get
want
fired.
to shift the conversation a bit because I keep noticing this, and I don't know if Blue knows this with this skin, but you're blinking, by the way.
I am
Yeah,
blinking. Hi, here.
I noticed
Hi.
that too.
Yeah, and
I
it's
meant to
been
ask about
driving me
that.
insane this entire podcast. I don't know
So
what mod it is that enables it though.
Jake made the skin for me. Jake, one day we were on MC Parks, and Jake is like, Blue, stare at me off my face or something like that. And I was like, oh my gosh, you blinked. How did you do that? And he's like, do you want me to make you a blinking skin? And I was like, yes. And so I'm sure by now I
That's
have
really
blinked. Have
cool.
I blinked? I'm sure I
I
Yeah,
blinked by
you've
now.
yeah,
blinked
you've
so many
several
times.
times.
Yeah.
I don't know how
I
often it is, but it's just really cool. So thank you for noticing my eyes, Obby. Yours, I can
Yeah.
see you still have the mechanical eye going on, the Silco eye.
I I don't.
Yeah,
I
I
think
was
it'll be
just
a bit
too
of a
lazy to
disaster
change today.
if my skin blinked. I think it'll be a bit of a horror story. So I'd rather not taint my image any more than it already is, and just leave it.
What would
You know,
happen to your
graphic.
monocle is my question. Would the monocle blink as well? Because that'd be cute.
I think I don't know if that's a question we want to answer. We might like break physics if we try and figure that one out. There are
See,
some
I want to
questions that
go
are just
back.
best,
It's
unanswered.
early, too early to break physics.
I want to
Mm.
go back to the Solvi Wonka saga. That saga was peak Evan, in my opinion.
Soul, which one?
The Willy Wonka skin that he had for
Oh
Halloween.
yeah, that was actually, and you know what? He did that all in his own hobby. Like
Oh,
he's like,
I'm
"You're
so proud
gonna
of
love
him.
my skin." I know. Yeah, it was really that was a great skin,
It's,
Evan.
we do. Oh, thank you. It's I'll never forget when I made the Freya skin, and I made
Oh
the
yeah.
statue before the skin.
Yep. In
Because that
fact,
was
I
through a
asked you
blue
for
area.
the skin after I saw the
Yes,
statue.
that's right. You
I need
did.
I need one for my new head.
You do?
For
Oh,
my
I can.
2025 head. Thank you.
I have
Yeah,
no
I
idea how
can't
to
wear
make
it.
it. I have no idea how to make it blink, but I can make the skin itself for you.
Okay.
You can probably just ask Jake to help you with the
Yeah,
blinking.
Add the
Jake can
blinkiness to
make the
it. Yeah,
blinking because that is
yeah.
my default skin. So
Jake Jake really is an online jack of all trades. Like he really is good at like just there's not
everything.
many there's not many tasks that like there's not many tasks that I can like label or list off that like he probably can't do, or at least wouldn't be good at figuring out.
Oh yeah.
Um
He is really good at being able to Google.
He made our, so I believe if you use the skate pack through Modereth, I believe that the
blinking animations probably, yeah.
blinking, yeah, I believe the blinking animations in. I saw that,
I
Evan.
yeah.
I believe I believe it's in there. So
think
yeah,
it just
he's
might be the
Yeah.
player animations mod or something.
Mhm.
Because I
I
know I
have no
saw that.
idea.
That's
It's just so cool.
the I had like a brain fart, and I had like this thing that was going to completely perfectly connect onto what you guys were saying, and then I lost it. So now I've just like basically
Let me
just
see if I can find
broken.
it. Nope,
Try
I
looking
can't
over
find
there.
It's
it.
over, way over there.
Nope, can't find it.
Okay.
Oh,
Well,
man.
we tried. And by we, I mean Blue. Only Blue tried.
Yeah,
I
I
wasn't
gotta.
getting up for you.
I have coffee, so I have energy.
It's,
I have vitamin
let's
water.
see.
You know what?
Water,
Is
nice.
it good? Is the zero vitamin water good? That's my question.
Oh yeah, it's
because dragon fruit Vita water is like one of my top favorite drinks.
that's
in
one of
whole
the
universe.
that's the one I'm drinking right now.
Is it, and it does it taste pretty similar to the normal one?
I mean,
Like the normal dragon fruit? Similar.
I
didn't
think it
have to be
tastes like
thick.
dragon. I am not a person who preferably likes dragon fruit, but I'm drinking this. If that
See,
tells you
that is
anything.
that is like one of my like if you're like what are your top 5 drinks? It's in my top 5 of all time. So like I love that drink. And when you sent me the picture, which now you're gonna have to show it to everybody,
Mhm.
um, he got a Snorelax large squishmallow from
Oh
Costco,
yeah,
guys.
a
It's amazing.
$30. It was only $30, and it was a giant squishmallow Snorlax. And
It is
I got a
it
story
is
to
my
tell you about
heart.
this.
It's my heart.
So
But
as
it
soon as I picked
oh,
it up, sorry to cut you
mhm.
off.
No,
Uh,
you're fine.
as soon as I picked it up to put it in my cart, out comes a 6-year-old girl and her mother from an aisle, down the lane. And as soon as she sees me put that in my cart, she starts screaming, "Mom, Mom, it's a Squishmallow Snorlax. We don't have that one. I want it. I want it." And it's like, obviously, the mom is being like, "No, no, you don't always get what you want," and stuff like that. But I
Aw,
swear to
you mom.
God, I decided to, I not decided, I got karma for doing it because everywhere I went, I saw them. I was like with them basically the entire time, shopping for myself at Costco, all the way up to the cash register where they were the ones right behind me. And for a
Did you hug
brief,
it and like show her, look at I have this and I'm hugging it right now?
for a
Or were you
brief
not that mean?
moment, I was about to just like give it to her right afterwards. Like I was like gonna pay for it and everything, walk out, wait for them to walk out, and then just give it to her. But then I
Aw.
decided this is a dog eat dog world, girl. I'm sorry. You have to go and get your own
My
$30 worth of
God.
Squishmallow.
You're like, let me give you a lesson in life.
Let me
No.
give you a lesson in life. To be fair, the Squishmallow, honestly, it's about
$30
the
isn't bad
same
though.
it's about the same scale as that pumpkin is to your player model. Like
I
it
that's
is
what I was gonna
half
say.
my size.
I'm one of
It
those
is it
strange
is
people who
this was my pumpkin I made. I love it. I
I'm one
love
of those strange people who
Snorlax.
didn't really get into the Squishmallow thing. I'm not like as
This is my
into
first
that as a lot
Squishmallow
of
I
people
ever
are.
got. I just saw it and I was like,
It's
it's
pretty
so big, I
cool.
have to have it.
I want
I
it.
briefly
I
saw
heard
it the
our
other day.
Costco only has the Pikachu one.
It was
So
only
that's sad.
Pikachu or Snorlax at the one that I had.
Aw. Yeah, ours currently only has Pikachu. Not that I called or anything, but yeah.
Mm,
But I want to say in the photo, I was like, oh my gosh, the Snorlax. And I was like, vitamin water makes a 0? What? Then I got excited over that too. So
yeah.
this picture has a whole bunch of goodness in it. A whole bunch
I
of
mean,
goodness.
the one thing that I think you didn't point out is I also got $100 of DoorDash gift cards right next to
Oh,
it.
I
That's really good.
Because
That's
Costco is
funny.
doing their like $80 for $100 deal right now
hey,
for
that's
gift cards.
$20. And if you're gonna use it,
Yeah.
it makes so much
I mean,
sense. So
DoorDash is something I'm definitely going to use. So, like, why not?
mhm, exactly.
But
Very
yeah,
cool.
I also felt very bad because I went to Costco while my roommate was at her doctor's appointment. Like, she had to go to the doctor's. I was like, okay, in order for me to pick you up, I'll just go to Costco, then pick you up after I'm done. And it was sad because as soon as I walk into Costco, I hear a guy on his phone talking about One Piece, and it took every ounce of strength I had to not go up
But
and
not
strike a
like
conversation to him so I can get out faster for my roommate. I
I
told her afterwards, you
I'm so proud
you
of you,
you
Abby.
basically cucked me, my
I
roommate.
I'm so
I've
proud of you.
I've I will be that is crazy that phrasing right there. I'll be honest though, Obby, I have actually had this exact problem, but it wasn't with One Piece. I was at a cafe one evening, and I was just there on my own. Sometimes I'll just do that. I'll just like to like depending if I've got free time, I will go like on my own, just like just chill out, have a coffee, we'll call it. And I was just sat alone at a table, and there were these two guys, and they must have been like, I think they were in their late 20s, early 30s, but they were just talking about the sort of stuff that I'm interested in. Like at one
Hmm.
point, they were talking about like corporation like control. Like obviously, I can't get into like the the politics of it. They were talking about very current stuff that I found interesting. Then they moved on to talking about Doctor Who,
Mm.
and there was a
Oh boy.
particular like they were talking about a particular episode that's one of my favorites, and they were talking, they had like a take on that episode that I've only heard from like a couple of people, me also being one of them. So I had to approach them. I was like, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I heard, and I sat down with them. I sat down with them for like an hour and talked to them. This was about like a year ago now.
I believe
We had like
this.
a full blown conversation.
At least you were able
One
to
of
have a
them-
conversation. My entire conversation with this guy, luckily at the very end, when I was at the Costco food court, because I was getting like a hot dog for my roommate because she
Gotta
hadn't
get a hot dog.
eaten.
Yeah.
And she had not texted me back that her appointment was done, and I saw him sitting there at the food court area, and I was like, okay, let me go approach him. As soon as I approached to talk to him about it, my roommate sends a notification saying I'm done, and I was like, are you kidding me? I just ignored it for 5 minutes so I could at least have some sort of conversation with him, because I
at
felt
least say
bad after that.
something.
Yeah, but
It's,
like,
oh man, it's the worst.
yeah, I don't know. Maybe one day we'll cross paths again at Costco, where I saw that he goes to the same gym as me. So
You might. You very well might. Like you
Yeah,
never know.
I might.
I've had that happen.
I love it when I run across people talking about something, because I am the kind of, as much as I am so like antisocial and like never will approach someone, if it's something I'm super into, I can't not. Like I literally can't not. I'm
It's
like,
the
yeah,
autism
like
in
I
us.
have to. It
I have
literally
to.
is. I told you guys about the Manchester Orchestra guy, right? At Safeway.
yeah,
Yeah.
So yeah, in Safeway, he was just wearing a t-shirt. I had to talk, like I had to. It was like the beacons are lit, you know, like I just like I had to go, and I
Yeah.
had to talk to him, and it was like, yeah, now I made a friend, so yay.
It's always fun. Like sometimes there are situations where I haven't approached, and that really sometimes that's
To
like
eat you
if there's a
later.
like if there's a big group of people who are talking, I don't particularly want to interrupt a group. That's a lot more like, I don't want to say the word intrusive because they don't usually mind, but it's like when there's a group dynamic, you don't want to sort of affect that. So if I've heard like groups talking about things that I find interesting, I've usually not approached. It also depends too, like, am I with people? Like if I was with my friends at the cafe, I wouldn't have done that because that's rude to my friends who I'm supposed to be with.
Oh, see,
Um,
I would have lacked that ability. Just
I
saying.
see. The reason why
My
I think
friends
I'm
would
good
expect
at
it, so
see the reason I think I'm good at that is because I have been that friend who has been put on hold. And there was one particular evening I was out with somebody, and we were supposed to go with them, and I think they must have spent, out of the 3 hours we were together, they must have spent only 15 of it with me and my other friends because they just kept getting up and speaking to other people that they recognized in town. And so, like, obviously, and I'm not, I don't have any animosity towards that. I get it. I'll also, like, if I see somebody in town, because everybody here is local, so everybody knows each other. So if I see somebody that I'm friends with, of course I'll like say hi and whatever. But I still prioritize my friends. I'm still like, I'm with these people. But hey, it's good to see you. We'll definitely catch up. Or hey, like, depending on the situation, I might even invite them to join us. But my friend, like, just this entire night just kept leaving us for like other people and other people and other people. And I think that in my mind has made me very good at kind of separating and going, okay, like, this is not the time to do that. I can do this later, or I will do this another day, or I've got other people who are trying to talk to me. This is not the right time. But it's hard. Like, I will acknowledge, like, it is very hard, and I have sometimes done it too. But it's just making sure that you don't get stuck, or keep sort of going further and further away.
Okay, so
It's
I
hard.
got a question for you, Blue.
Yes, hi.
You've been married before. You've had a
Yes.
wedding.
Yes.
I've always thought about this, where like if I ever had a wedding or a marriage, how difficult it would be for me to get to everyone who, like every different friend group or family member that I invite, to give them just a little bit of like attention, being like, hey, thanks for coming and everything like that.
Yeah, you have to walk
do-
around to the tables and like yeah. Okay, so what's your question, and then I'll answer. Sorry.
Like, did you find that to be extremely difficult to be like trying to
Yes.
give everyone a little bit of attention?
Yeah, I did. In fact, that whole day was a blur anyway, because like oh, there's our new player. Hi. Yeah, that whole day, like I was incredibly anxious the whole day, so I barely remember any of it. But I remember you have to go and like to each person and greet them, and then they're gonna say, "Oh, congratulations," and you're like, "Thanks," and like it's like when I talk to this person, that's not what I want to say. I want to be like, "Oh, like, did you see this new band has a new song out?" Like
Yeah.
those are my kind of conversations, not a fake. It's like fakeness, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I
And
get that.
and two, the anxiety of being put on display does not work for me at all. Like at
Mm.
all. Like I don't do that. So for me, it was like, you guys know, like I might be incredibly extroverted in Discord, but in real life, I'm
Yeah, you're a
incredibly
lot more.
introverted. Don't look at me. I blend into a wall. Like I was even telling a friend, like if I go hiking and I break my leg, like drag me out. Don't call an
Don't fool
ambulance because
anybody.
I don't want anyone looking at me,
Oh
that kind of
man,
thing. I'm
I have a
that
lot to
bad.
add to that.
Yeah. So for me, it's like, if I was to do this all over again, no, just no wedding. I don't think any of that's even necessary in my opinion. But well,
I
I have my own weird views on marriage and all that anyway, which I'm not really for that stuff anymore. But it's kind of but I it's like you ask yourself, why am I doing this anyway? This isn't
yeah.
me. This isn't what I want to do. I'm doing this because everyone expects me to
This
do
is
this.
and it's a ritual, I
It
think,
is a
too.
ritual, but who's the ritual for? You and your partner, or
Right.
is it for everybody
That's
else?
no,
Because
I completely
the
agree with
amount of
you.
money you spend on this shit is insane.
Mhm.
Like that could
Yeah.
go to a down payment on a house or put into savings or an amazing, like, just have a party. That's why I'm like, just have a party
I
with your friends.
also
But anyway, but to answer your question, yes, you do. You have to go. You have no. I've been to weddings where people just do like a line where you just get in line and you go and shake their hands and everything.
yeah.
And I think that's even worse. But
Mm.
like, yeah, otherwise, I literally went from table to table to table. And I'm like, hey, how's it going? Thank you so much for being here. And I had like my standard generic line that I said to every single person. And I would answer and I would say that to someone that I'd already said it to because it was just so mechanical at that point. And it's all a blur. It's a blur.
Becomes
I barely
very
remember that day, barely remember any of it because my
I
anxiety was
honestly
so bad.
I honestly like I completely get all of that, and I haven't thought much about and I think this is just because I'm a straight guy. I haven't thought too much about what my
Love
wedding
to
would
see
look
where this
like
is going.
if I have a wedding. But I go back and forth on this a lot, and I don't think I
Why
would want to
straight?
do the.
I'm sorry. I need to know why
I
because you
love
said I'm a
yeah,
straight guy.
why? Because you're straight.
I
It's
think
clearly gay men
I
don't
just
have the most fabulous weddings. Just
I
saying, they
I
literally do.
feel no, I feel like and this is just my personal experience. I could be
Okay.
completely wrong here. Every
Okay.
straight guy I know is so like they don't okay, women and like other men, they always talk about how they have the wedding, they talk about the glamour, the glitz, how they're gonna decorate it, who they're gonna call, the people they'd invite. And every straight guy that I've talked to, myself included, we're like, I guess we'll figure it out when the time comes. Like I've never thought that much ahead about my wedding ever, if I ever even had a wedding.
See,
But to
girls are
continue my
different. Yeah, but go ahead. Keep
yeah,
going.
and that's why I specified being
Girls
straight.
start planning at age
Um,
6 or 7. Not me though.
that's
I'm not
right.
that girl. I'm like, why are we
I
doing this?
my opinion on marriage, there's a part of me that doesn't even know if I'd want to marry because I feel like a lot of people marry because they feel they have to. I think a connection with a person is so much more important than what you label it as.
I'd marry for tax
I
benefits.
and I and I
I'll be real.
I'll be real.
I
$20, right?
and
Yeah.
I also just like there's a part of me that thinks if I were to marry, like if me and my partner were on the same page and we wanted to marry each other, I could really see it being a very private and low key thing. And I think that also means that the people who we really want in our lives, because let's be honest, although everybody has very varied families, but we've all got those people in our families who we rarely talk to or don't have a close connection with, or are just people we can't really bond with in general. And then we have the people in our family who we love dearly. And I've been alive long enough. I've seen enough of my family to know like who I'd really want at my wedding and who,
Mhm.
and I wouldn't not
Which
invite
means
them
us,
out of
Obby. We would be
meanness.
there.
I wouldn't not invite some people out of like rudeness. It would just be we don't know each other. I want people at my wedding who truly matter, who are in my life every
Yeah.
day, who see the connection that me and my partner have. So I could honestly end up seeing my marriage, whatever it is, being a really like private, even just a literally just us two thing, honestly. Like
That's what
because
it should
it's about
be.
us. It's about
It
us and nobody
is.
else. And
I
I'm
think
very big on that.
The rest of it is for everybody else. The commitment, the
Completely
ceremony,
agree.
to
I
me,
disagree
and
though.
okay, well,
Like,
let me explain why real
go
quick
ahead.
and then you tell me why. Okay. So here's my thoughts on it. And this is as someone who's been through this. That day ended up being about everybody else and I have no
Except
memories
yeah.
that are positive of it being about me and him. it was, I had to do this, I had to wear this. I met people that I have still never seen ever since from his side. He had a huge family. So like
Yeah.
most of the people, like half of the people there, I did not even know, which made me even more anxious. The ceremony was not how I wanted it. It was in a church. I would have rather had it like on a beach or like literally in the forest.
Yeah.
Put me by a tree. Put me where I am most happy and most comfortable. And then two, it's like everything else, it was so ritual. It really was ritual. And it's like, why not let me just say what I want to say? Why do I have to have this done by a pastor? Why do I have to have this done like this?
Yeah.
Why do I have to smile and pretend something? I felt it was so fucking fake. It felt so fake. It didn't feel genuine in what I really would have wanted. If it was me, it would have just been the two of us in the trees, you know, with a friend marrying us. And then we later have a party for our close friends and family that we wanted.
I completely
Not
agree.
people coming out of the woodwork. When we left, like after it was done, there were still people coming, like still people getting there. Because why? Open bar, you know,
Yeah.
food, like all these things. And I'm going, they're just as ingenuine as I am right now. Literally, nobody gave a fuck. It was, and there were people there like, oh, my mom made me be here. And I'm like, me too. You know, like, I
Yeah.
don't want to be here either. And I'm the
No,
star of the show today. It was just,
I-
and too, like the whole thing of a wedding dress and the whole thing of having to wear this and having to do this. You had to have this. And it was just like, I was just like, are you kidding
too
me? Like,
much.
I can't, it made it not me. And I wish I would have had the balls now that I do today that I would have said back then, I don't want this. And your mom is controlling this shit and I don't like it.
See,
And I
and
wish
that
I wish
is
I could have done it.
where I would. That's why I'm disagreeing.
Okay,
So
so
the
now you go. I'm very
entire
curious.
I'm
thing
curious. Me
that
too.
I have heard when it comes to weddings is that the biggest problem is letting your family have any control whatsoever. That is, in my opinion. Now, I think I'm lucky because my mom was already someone who doesn't care for traditional weddings. Like her second marriage was like literally a 1950s themed diner wedding. It was
Oh,
awesome.
that is so cool. Like,
yes.
did she do the whole like that's she looked like a pinup? Like, did she have like that pinup look? You know what I mean? Like the 50s pinup lady look. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No, I don't. I
Oh.
can probably just send you pictures though, because I do have some.
Oh, that
still.
sounds so cool.
Yeah. But either way, that is, I think, one of the biggest things is that like a lot of people, there are two types of weddings: those that are for you, and those that are for everyone else attending or for the family. You, in my opinion, should never try to cater your wedding for anyone other than you and your partner. You two are the most important people at that wedding. It's your wedding. It is not your family's wedding. It's not your family celebration. And I know that this is like a cultural thing that like a lot of families, like I know especially like Indian families, they have it to where like the wedding is for the family more than it is for like the partners. From my bastardized American viewpoint, that I do not view it that way. I view it as like your wedding is for you. You need to determine what you want for your wedding. If it is a private wedding, that is completely fine. I do want a wedding where I can invite all my friends because I'm a person who I want my friends to be there to celebrate my happiness. Like as much as an egotist that might make me sound.
No, it's
not. It's not egotistical at all. That's how it literally should be.
I'd be honest. I would invite probably you two to my wedding. I would probably invite like a good portion of my friends from Skade, from IRL to my wedding. Yes, I know that I would have to be juggling through a lot of different friend groups at my wedding, but I want people to be there to celebrate me, and I want
that's also worth
I want my partner's friends to be there to celebrate them. So
I think that's a really good take, and I do see it. For me, I'm just one of those people that thinks that like from the ground up, you should really like build the wedding up as like a private thing. I'm one of those people. I mean, I'm undecided. Would I even want to be married? I don't know. Like there's so many factors with that. I think it really depends on what me and my partner both agree on and want. And I think if we're not on the same page about how to marry each other, I honestly think that might even be a warning that we should never marry. Like, or even necessarily be together. And I think that like with when it comes to a bit of a stretch, but you get what I'm saying.
I do get what you're saying.
But I think that that is the biggest mistake with like modern like weddings, especially traditional ones, is the families do have way too much control and say over it. And I think
Mm.
that I
I
don't
have
know
something to
if
add, just so you know.
that I don't know if cutting the family out entirely would negate that for me. I still think I'd want it
Oh, I
private, and I
wouldn't
think I'd
cut my
still want it
family
very
out of my
controlled.
wedding. I would
No,
still
you
invite
know what
them.
I mean. No,
Yeah.
well, me
Yeah.
too. But like a lot of families are like really try to influence or, you know, and I think sometimes suggestions are okay, but like family, I think a lot of families they make it more about them because they're excited that their children or their family members are marrying each other, and so
It
they kind of
is.
hijack the
Yes.
experience.
Mm.
That's how the moms are. This is about them, not you. But you know what? I will say this. Now, I'm a little older than you guys. So I can say what I have seen more recently with friends who are getting married. It seems like that shift has already started to happen where people
Yeah.
are doing kind of like what Abby said, where they're doing more what they want. I have friends that just did a Halloween kind of themed wedding in October. It was so
Mm.
fucking cool. Black dress, like it was right. This is a wedding I would have loved. Like this is fun. A themed wedding. Dress up. Everyone was encouraged to wear some kind of costume, so you didn't have to worry about, oh, I have to wear a dress or I have to, this. Even just to attend the wedding, people encouraged it, and it looked like the most fun party ever. That is really cool. And her mom was pissed. Her mom was so mad. She didn't care. This is my wedding. If you'd like to come
Mhm.
to it, you can come to it. But this is my wedding. And I
Yeah.
was like, oh, girl, applause. Like you literally
That's
turned
what
that
you
narrative.
need to
That would have
do.
been fun. But even just 10 years ago, that would have been very hard for a lot of people to say
I agree.
because we don't want to
Yeah.
let our parents down. We don't want my mom has been waiting on this just as long as I have, that kind of thing. And two, it's like if your parents, this is another thing. If your parents are helping pay for it, they kind of feel they get a say in it. And
Yep.
that's wrong. And this is
It
where we
is.
need to go. I appreciate your help on paying for this, but this is my wedding, my memories. I'm going to be the one looking at these photos for the next 50 years. I want to make sure it's exactly how my day wants to go.
There's
I look at photos and go, I don't even remember that. I don't remember that. Like, because my anxiety was so bad that day because it was
Yep.
everything I did not want. And
It needs to
no, I don't want to
be
say that. It wasn't everything I didn't want. I went to the
Mm.
marriage, but it wasn't it wasn't me. And it even honestly wasn't him either. It was what
it was
everybody
whatever
else
people
wanted.
wanted and you
Yeah.
conformed.
And
No, I
we
get
were
that.
like, whatever, okay,
I
whatever,
think
okay.
I would say too, and of course this does still happen, I'm sure, and it is still a problem in some places. But I also would say like the overbearing family trying to influence the wedding seems to be kind of dying down
I know.
too,
Yeah,
even
that's what I'm
without the
saying. Yeah. Hmm.
even without the bluntness of please stay out of it. And I think that's because there's less pressure to marry nowadays. Like for a long
Yeah.
time, you know, places like England and America were a lot more like I don't want to say the word religious because it's not purely a religious thing, but they were more traditionalist in that you have to marry. Like now that you've been together for
Mhm.
this long, now that you have a kid, you've got to marry. So
Now that
the
you have a
families are
kid, you
kind
have
of
to marry. It's usually the other. If you want
yeah,
to have a
no,
kid, you need to get
right,
married.
yes, but both
Just
were
shows you how
true.
much things have changed. Yeah.
Um, yes, and so I think the families they almost needed this for the children. It wasn't so much like it wasn't so again, and some people did marry because they wanted to and they liked the traditional thing. That's great. But I think most marriages were very much a transaction. Okay, now that my daughter has a partner, they need to marry. Okay, good. Right, they need to get this done. Right, they need to marry in the church. Okay, great. Have they got the dresses? Yes, good. And it felt a lot more like a business day rather than like an actual like day of love. And I think that we've kind of relaxed a lot more on that hyper traditional we need to do it this way mentality. And I
Mhm.
think that has also rubbed off on the parents and the family, allowing them to let the couple figure this out on their own. Do they even want to marry? And there are some very successful couples who never end up marrying and they spend the
Okay, I
rest
have
of their
so
lives
much to
together.
say. I have so much to say on
Go
this.
ahead.
And this is and this is just, I don't know, maybe I'm a little older, maybe I just, I don't know, just thought more about this, but and I think Evan, you and I've even talked about this some. I don't
Yes,
really understand the concept of a marriage. I
me
think if
neither.
you're and I was actually just telling a friend this like a couple days ago. I think if you're committed to someone, you're committed. Rather, you've been dating that person for 4 years, you've been married for 4 years. if you're going to cheat on them, you're going to cheat on them. A wedding ring is not going to necessarily stop that
I
or make
agree.
it okay
Might
or
even
any
worsen
less
it.
okay or less better or worse than if you're married. If you're cheating on that person, you're cheating on that person. And then you look at and go,
Mm.
besides the tax benefits, besides, the benefits you get
Well,
for being married.
there
And then,
is a
and
reason why it is worse when it is marriage cheating, because there are
well,
like custody
Yeah.
things you can
Well,
get,
no,
like,
that's if you get a divorce, you see. I'm saying in general, if you're dating and someone cheats on you and you find out, it
mm,
hurts bad. And
oh
if
yeah,
you're married and you find out someone cheats on you, it hurts bad, but now it's a big pain in the ass because now you're going to divorce them and now you have
Yeah.
to pay for a lawyer and you have all this custody issues.
And some
So
don't even
the
divorce
the
because they get stuck.
the ramifications that happen after that initial act are so much worse when you're married, but the initial act itself isn't. If you are together and you've been partners and you've been partners for 10 years, or if you are married, you've been married for 10 years, and it doesn't matter. Your heart is still theirs. You're still together. Now, I have a lot of friends who've been divorced lately, like a lot. Like
yeah.
it's rare to find someone that just isn't or hasn't had something major happen. A lot of
Majority of
family members,
Americans nowadays, I think, are
they are.
divorced.
And this makes you go, why be married? Because if you weren't married, if you just were in the same exact committed partnership, you want to wear a ring, wear a ring. You want to whatever. Oh, that's really funny. I don't know how to stop that, by the way. If you wanted
Hmm.
to
We're gonna
sorry,
get
that's just
kicked,
funny.
guys.
We're gonna get kicked in 5 minutes, guys, and we'll be right back.
Oh crap!
Yeah. Yeah, the
I
server. We
forgot.
didn't think about.
I
All of
forgot
us
too.
forgot. That is
This is
incredible.
funny. It's okay. A little
Well,
spice, that's all. A little flair
Yeah.
to the
don't worry, we
show.
got 5 minutes to discuss the rest of this. Go, go, go.
Yeah.
So it's kind of it's one of those things like if you I some people are like, oh, but you're not really committed until you're committed under God's eyes or
And I
something, and I'm
disagree with that
like,
completely.
and I disagree with that too. If I've been dating for someone for 3 months or I've been together for 3 years and I say I'm committed to you, then I'm committed to you. And anything I do rather, is it's still wrong, not in God's eyes. It's wrong in my eyes, it's wrong in their eyes. And it's just kind of a, if we in 3 months into this find this out, or 3 months into this
Yeah.
have issues, it's an easy breakup. 6 years
It's
into this, if we're married, now we have custody issues. Who's going to get the house? Who's going to buy each other out? Who's going to take over what car
I
payment? You have all this other complicated stuff. But if you're just in a partnership and,
no, I
and you work
agree.
together equally, it's just the couples and people I've known that have done this more in a partnership, they just seem a little happier is all.
They
Yeah.
do, and I think there's
And you
less
can have
pressure.
kids. Kid, you're gonna
I
get
think there's
divorced and
less.
separate anyway. What's the
My my
have your
my
kids and have
opinion.
co-parent.
My opinion as well is very much a case of I sometimes think that marriage actually ends up being detrimental because some people ignore or pretend issues aren't there because they're married. I sometimes think that being married actually worsens your situation because I'll give an example of this in my life.
Mhm.
My mother was never married to my father, but my uncle was married for a very long time. Like most of my childhood, my uncle was married. He had a wife. He didn't have his own kids. I think they had. I don't know the exact situation with the kids. I don't want to get into that because I don't want to misspeak
That's
or get any details
no
wrong.
problem.
But he was married to her for a long time, and one day he just left. He was really unhappy. He was in a very dark mental place, and he just left. And I'm not justifying it. I'm not saying what he did was right. Of course, I'm sure he could have handled it better. But I personally think if he had never married her, he would not have left things so grimly. I think that he would have really been honest with her sooner. I think he'd have done what he wanted to do in the end, but he wouldn't have had that pressure. I personally
That's
do
heartache.
believe, from everything I've heard, I believe that he had the marriage of being together with her under law. I think that loomed over him, and I think that it made him hold out longer than he ever should have, and I think it made him really unhappy. And it took him being in a very dark, very, very like I don't want to be around here anymore mentality. And I'm not talking the house; I'm talking
Right.
life
Right. Yeah. I agree
mentality.
on it.
And I think that had he not been married, he wouldn't have got to that point before stepping away, and he could have broken things off more amicably.
Well, that would have been more fair to her. And this is something like
Yes.
guys don't realize, especially if you have kids of any sort. The longer you wait, the harder it's going to be for them to find a new partner per se. that isn't looking at, wow, you
And
have 3
restabilize.
kids, wow, you have, you're now at this age, now. Whereas if they had just been more open and honest about where they're getting to, which again, that wedding ring kind of holds that back, because of the pressures of society and stuff. It's like,
Yeah,
oh, tough it out. If you could just be more honest and open and say like, this is just really not working, that could have given her years more to find another partner, or
I
years
agree.
more to figure things out. But I
And I
say I'm a
think
big to eat, and we say this a lot in the podcast, to each their own. It's if marriage is for you and you are just so excited for marriage, and you want to do that in a church, and you want the whole big grand thing, and you want your mother-in-law to plan it all for you, go for it. But if not, speak up,
I
say something, do it your way, or you really will
I
have
I
regrets later.
completely I
We're,
completely
we're
agree, and I'm not.
restarting in a few
uh,
seconds. I just
It's
want to
okay,
put it
we're
out
Agreed.
gonna
before we
still talk.
restart.
I
Everyone
think I
just
want
gonna
to.
see everything.
I'm gonna continue talking. I think
No,
like
no,
one
no,
of
no.
my.
I'm cutting as soon as we restart, and then we're
Oh,
Oh, okay.
gotcha.
picking it
Okay.
back up as soon as we get back.
Okay. You
Okay.
that would
I
be
have
funny.
a I have one final take that I want to share about like the marriage conversation before like when we get back, I should say.
Okay.
Because I do have like an opinion on like how to approach that. But
That
it's
is
a very
completely fair.
interesting it's a very interesting conversation, and it is a very relevant one, and I think that
He's about
Is
to
it
get
really
married.
a
I'm
more.
sorry.
relevant one? None of
Really,
us are getting married soon. What do
it's
you mean
relevant because
relevant?
All right, we are back after the server reset. And when we left, before we got disconnected, there was one final take I wanted to share on my opinion on marriage and like how you should or not should approach it. That I don't want to say should because again, each to their own, and we all have our own ways of wanting to do things. In my opinion, though, like your goal in my opinion and my goal, my personal goal, is not to find somebody to marry. My goal is to find somebody to form a a really like strong bond and just fall in love with. And if we both organically decide that we want to marry each other, then we will absolutely do that. But my goal isn't to get out there and look for somebody to marry. And I personally think there are many people who have that mentality, and I don't think that is the best way to do it because I think it's all about the person and how you feel about them. And I think that marriage should come as kind of a bonus. Ooh, like, yeah, we should definitely do that. Yeah, let's definitely do it. But I don't think that should be like the goal. And it definitely shouldn't be a pressure on you. If you never want to marry your partner and your partner never wants to marry you, then don't do it. Just, stay exactly as you are and be as happy as possible. You got to do what makes you and your partner happy and what is right for both you and your partner. And sometimes that isn't ever marrying, and that's perfectly fine.
Yeah. And I think we should more normalize that, if anything,
I
just
agree.
because, and same with children. It's like, Riley and Nen are like, they talk about this stuff too. And I'm like, you guys don't have to get married. You don't. You can like do what you want to do. I think it's
Yeah.
important that
And
people tell
marriage
them that.
can be what you want to do, and it
If
can be
if
what you want it to be.
Exactly. No matter what. If that's get married, get married. If it's not get married, don't get married. If it's have kids, have
Yeah.
kids. If it's not have kids, and that's a whole nother thing. I think this pressure of you have to get married and have children. And it's like, no and no.
I don't. Yeah.
Not
It's
everyone.
also
In fact, I have a friend who just recently really confided in me that she's like, I don't want children. I just do not want children. And I'm sorry if it makes me look bad because I'm a woman and I'm supposed to want something that I don't want. And I'm like, you should never feel bad about that.
no,
Not
God, no.
No.
That's
everyone
the most
not everyone wants to have children. So, yeah.
in the world
It's
in a
it's
free
we
and
just need to
fair.
you do you kind of work. We need to just make that, let's
We
normalize that. You do what you want to do.
absolutely do. And when we're talking, and this is the thing too, again, love and like connections and relationships. And obviously, I'm the only person who's never dated, so it's very rich me saying this. But like love and connections, it should never be like a business transaction where like you have to do this thing. It should be about the person and you, and it should be about are you really happy together? You don't want to marry because you have to, and I think that if you want to get married but they don't, or they want to get married but you don't, that's an issue that needs addressing. Because I think both of you should absolutely be on the same page about how you want to do things. You might have preferences and you might need to compromise in some things, but in general, do we want to be married? If one of you disagrees with the other, that's a major thing. Um, and so I
Yeah. Well,
think
that's
that
something you should probably talk. I don't. It's not a first date kind of thing or
no,
second or
God
third date
no.
kind of thing. But I do feel like early on, and if you're out there dating, you're listening. Early on, I think that's a conversation that really should happen, because there are women that want the big wedding, the marriage, the house with the picket fence, and they've been thinking about it since they were a child. And if you
Yep.
as a guy are like, I kind of more like, I just don't really see a need. I just am looking for a partner to laugh and love, and to not laugh at, but laugh with
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Live,
love.
laugh, love with.
Lobotomy.
Lobotomy, nice.
If you want that, I think, don't waste your time. And again, I
No.
was actually just talking to a friend about this. It's like, don't waste your time. Time is too short. Don't, they might be fun to do this or that or whatever, but if long term
You need to just
it's
place
just
it
not
out.
going to be a good fit, just rip that band-aid off and move on. Because
Absolutely.
and don't just do it for yourself, do it for them.
Do it for them.
because
Absolutely.
because they're looking for what they're looking for, and every day that goes by and you get one day older each day,
They
you those chances just diminish a little bit and a little bit for
it's
what they actually want.
it is. It's better you find out you're not compatible with that person in a matter of months than a matter of years. Like, you don't want to find out or not even find out. You don't want to confront the reality that you're not compatible when you're 8 years into a marriage. You want to confront that incompatibility as
You're like
soon as humanly possible.
wait, you wanted kids? I don't want kids.
Yeah,
We've been
I
married for 4
like
years.
and again, you shouldn't spring these things on people, but you definitely need to make sure that they know what they're getting into as soon as
Yeah.
possible.
Okay,
It's almost like you need to fill out an application.
okay,
Yeah,
so
almost.
before we keep going, because
Yes.
I gotta be honest, I got other things I want to talk about
Oh,
other than just
good.
marriage.
Bring it. These are great. I'm loving this
So,
today.
Yeah.
but to end it off, basically what they were just saying, in if you want the TLDR of what they've been saying the last 15 minutes, communicate with your partner.
Yeah.
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 I mean,
Just communicate.
they just like to elaborate a lot, but please communicate
Well,
with your partner. Communicate with any relationship that you have, to be like, hey, if you want something, you have to be open and honest about that. You have to communicate with them like, hey, this is how I want my wedding to be. Hey, I don't want marriage. Hey, mom and dad, I appreciate you wanting to pay for my wedding, but I want full control of my wedding, or something like that. Like, you do have to have these communication skills necessary in order to like say what you want to have. As scary as that might be for a lot of people who are watching, because, well, we're autistic. A lot of people watching this are probably introverts and don't want to communicate. But
or don't
yes,
know how.
you do need those skills when it comes to relationships of any kind.
It's absolutely. And you need to be
Otherwise,
honest,
you're
like
just backwards.
I completely agree. And I think that is and I think I've learned that with friendships too. And I think that I'm not the best at communicating, but I always want to. And I think you just really need to. Like, every relationship, will end better, or or stay nice and tightly knit if you do that. So I agree.
Obby.
Yes.
Evan and I both have ADHD. He's not diagnosed, but we just know. And that means that we want you to say what you need to say very short. We can't stand slow talkers and get to the fucking point. But we are
We'll
going to
take it here to
mansplain,
get to
over
the
explain,
You're a
take two
woman.
side routes.
What do you mean
Yeah,
you're
but-
gonna
but she-
mansplain?
but
He
Blue-
mansplains.
I can look in
and
between
I
your
just-
legs right now. I don't see the thing that makes you a man.
Blue,
It's me. Look at my butt. Just kidding.
Blue mansplains, but she just doesn't. She isn't a man, so she does what mansplainers
No,
do.
I take side quests. I can never. It was so. I was just telling someone this the other day.
Well,
I'm like,
mansplaining
I
and
can't
you're
s-
side questing. I see.
I
how it
can't
is.
stand slow talkers. I will finish people's sentences, but I'm like, oh my God, can you get to the point? And yet I will just say 8 stories just to get to the one point I'm trying to
What
make. So
do you
we
mean?
Exactly.
collectively,
Talking
we
is-
apologize. What's your next topic, sir?
Slow talking is fine, Blue.
Shh,
You need to
quiet.
learn to
You
deal
two
with that better.
need
Oh, I'm gonna
to
kill you.
shut.
I'm gonna
You two need to
murder
shut
you.
up right now. I swear to God. Okay, so
We don't like slow
I have
talkers.
I have a challenge that I put on myself yesterday.
Ooh,
Go ahead.
I like challenges.
So, Evan, you already know about it, but I feel that I have not had the best best upbringing when it comes to like impactful movies and films and TV shows growing up.
Hmm.
I feel like a lot of
Okay.
my life I spent too much time watching YouTube or
And
anime.
anime.
Or back when I was little, I'd watch cartoons. Like I can probably count the amount of shows that I've watched probably on both my hands. Like in terms like, okay, Parks and Recreations, Breaking Bad, The Boys.
Yeah.
I can't remember anything else off the top of my head. Oh, Girl Meets World, technically, I guess,
Hmm.
because that's just a Boy Meets World spinoff. But like,
Right.
yeah, those like are probably the shows that
did-
I can remember off the top of my head.
Instead of things like Shawshank, things like that. Like,
Yes.
okay,
So
gotcha. Okay. So what's your challenge?
Decided that I am posted in Movies and TV channel on Skade that, hey, everyone, I want you guys to recommend movies
Ooh.
or shows for me to watch. And
Okay.
I am going to try my best to watch every single one of them. I do have caveats. I will say that.
That's what this is. Okay.
I do have
saw Lord
caveats.
Ghost, yeah. Okay.
First caveat is that I am only watching, if it is a series, I'm only watching the first season just because of the fact that like there are too many shows out there that have like 5, 6, 9 seasons worth of content.
Well, let's
and
you
that's
decide
a lot
if
of time.
you want to continue to watch. Yeah, that'll be up to you.
I'm sorry to
Okay.
say this, but like I feel personally that everyone always says that like, oh, you just have to get through that first season because it's like the slowest out of all of them.
No,
If the
no,
first
you gotta
season
get
is
through the first couple episodes. That's all. Just episodes.
First,
No,
I would say
I
you
disagree
really
with that.
agree.
No.
entirely.
So no,
No,
because
no.
you're setting a backstory. So I always give everything at least 3 episodes just so that they can get the backstory set, the character set. But a full season, that is too much of a commitment, in my opinion.
I
If
disagree
you don't like it.
because I think the 3-episode structure, while it was the standard for a long time, I think the entire 2010s, that is a good mentality on using 3 episodes. I feel nowadays, especially with the fact that like modern day stories are more inclined to rush like the world setting up aspect of things in order to get to the good stuff, that I don't think the 3-episode structure is really a good a good benchmark of seeing how you're going to feel about the series. I think you're going to see more and more of like just watching the entire thing, just like keep watching and seeing if you're going to enjoy it more than it is like
You
a
say
set
give it a
3
full
rule
season
episode.
then.
I don't
So you
say
say
give it a full season.
Watch it
I
as
think
watch it as long as it takes for you to feel like you've
Like,
got that point.
yes.
Better Call Saul is a perfect example of this. The beginning of season 1 is very boring. Am I wrong,
Mhm.
Evan?
No, you are completely correct. It is.
Yes.
I
I agree.
had to. I literally forced myself to push through because Evan kept saying, "Just keep watching. It gets better," and he wasn't wrong. There are those cases where people are not wrong, but also what he thinks is really good may not end up being what I think is
No,
really good. And if
exactly.
I
Yeah,
watch
of course.
5 seasons of something and I still don't like it, now I'm angry at him for having bad taste.
Even though technically
I
it's just a difference in opinions.
Right, and I actually did love Better Call Saul. It's one of my faves.
Better
so.
Call Saul, I will say the first
That's a
season
good example.
from the 3
Yeah.
that I've seen so far, because I still haven't finished it. I'm only halfway through. From the 3
Oh
that
my
I
God.
have seen, season 1's definitely the weakest. By far.
It's just slow. It's so slow.
And
It's
I
all
feel like it
building.
doesn't get good until like halfway through season 1, personally.
It's
Yeah,
all
that's
about
why.
world.
Yeah, I just had to keep going on that first few.
It was always I think it was more a case of world building, like, and Better Call Saul in general. Like, I think the structure of the entire show is slow, incremental steps. It does have amazing payoffs, and it does get more interesting later on. But Better Call Saul is like they make the boring interesting. Like, there's like a 10-minute like scene of like almost uncut footage where it's
That was
literally
not
just a
interesting to
guy
me. That was
doing
boring.
a repetitive. Like, there's like a 5-minute like montage where like Saul is like forging documents, and that is almost boring, but you just can't look away. Like, that to me is like one of the best scenes in the show,
looked away.
because you know that like that scene is eventually going to pay off some way, somehow. Like, they build drama in slow, believable ways. But for a lot of people, that isn't for everybody. It can be a very like slow, kind of like
My brain was
boring
like
burn.
screaming.
Yeah.
So
what's
either
your
way,
challenge? You're just gonna start watching. What do you have an actual challenge? Like,
the
one
challenge
a
is
week or
watch
something?
as many, if not every single thing that a Skader recommends me.
Ooh,
So
okay.
just
I'll
so
have to
that
put
way
something
the
in there.
caveats are fully listed. I have it to
Are you
where
preferring
only
movies? Sounds
Hold
like
on.
movies might be easier. Okay.
No,
go ahead.
hold on. If it is a series or it is a like multi-part movie or a multiple universe movie, only recommend one movie or the first season of that show. That is the first caveat. Second one,
Okay.
no horror. I don't like horror. I'm sorry. I don't care if
I love
I'm
horror.
labeled as a
Okay.
wussy. Horror
Hi,
sucks.
Wussy.
Two,
It's just not for everyone.
or three, no MCU movies.
What's
I
that mean?
Marvel. No
Oh,
Marvel
yeah.
movies.
You don't have to worry about that for me.
That's
What's
just because
Marvel?
of the thing. Also, everyone only gets one recommendation because right when I posted it, Amanda and Jakey decided like, how am I supposed to do one recommendation? I'm just gonna give you a bunch of recommendations and you pick one, Joey. It's like
No,
that's
you need
defeats the
one.
entire purpose. I just picked the first
Yeah,
one that
no,
they
you
put.
need one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like so,
And
Amanda listed out like
for everyone
Severance,
listening,
Megamind, a bunch of things. And I'm like, yeah,
I
it's
just started
Severance.
Severance, by the way. By the way, Obby has already seen Lord of the Rings. So for those of you that are gonna say that one, it's already done. Just saying.
Yeah.
'Cause that would probably be my go-to.
I would say the first one I am doing because I also counted my own one. I am doing The
Mhm.
Godfather first. That one I've never seen.
Oh, I've never
So
seen that.
yeah, and I know for a fact that it is a highly acclaimed classic. But like I got a bunch of ones already. Severance was recommended by Amanda. The
Yeah, Severance is good.
Penguin was recommended by Buddy. Interstellar by Jakey.
I saw Lord put something today.
Yeah, Lord put like Hardcore Henry or something like that.
Mm.
Nilari recommended me to watch The Matrix, which I've also not seen before, so I'm excited for
I haven't
that
seen
one.
that either. I think I thought I was the only one.
Yeah. So like I just wanted like to get a bunch of different films and TV shows that like I missed out on watching because of the fact that I spent most of my time watching YouTube or anime. Like that's the entire purpose of this
Yeah,
challenge.
you want like a palate
And
cleanser.
Has anyone said Shawshank yet? 'Cause Shawshank is so
so
good.
Jakey did say Shawshank, but he said Interstellar first. So Interstellar was the one that was added.
Then I will do Shawshank.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
I
So
did watch
you
that one
gotta
movie
go.
that you had me watch, and I really liked it. It took me a bit to really understand it. There was so much going on. It was kind of hard for me to piece it all together. Partly because of how I watch movies, because I don't sit and just stare at the TV and watch it. Like I watch out of the corner of my eye, kind of thing, and I have to be doing stuff. So it took me a bit with a lot of rewinding. But what was that movie called? Everything All at Once, something like
Everything
that.
Everywhere All at Once. Yeah.
That movie
BB and me
was
love that movie.
I ended up loving that movie, but it took me a bit to get through it and I had to focus. It was one of those, no,
Yeah.
Blue, sit down and fucking watch it. I had to focus because there is so much going on at once and there's so many like parallel things happening at the same time. You have to like piece it together, but that was such a great movie. It really made you think.
I will say that when I was doing this, I was in a call with a couple people talking about this challenge. And one thing that I found very interesting is that Nilari brought up the fact that like asked me the question, how do you feel about movies before the 2000s? And I was like, I mean, two of my favorite movies of all time are Kiki's Delivery Service and Forrest Gump. Both were made in the 90s and 80s. So I am perfectly fine with those films that were made before 2000. And I learned that like apparently from people that she's interacted with that like there are some people who just won't watch movies if it was made before a certain time period. And I find that kind of stupid. Like I can understand in some aspects, like I don't want to watch black and white films that have no talking.
Yeah,
But like to an extent of like I don't want to watch films made before 2005. I'm like, why there's so many good films that were made like in the 90s and 80s that like are critically acclaimed classics and stuff. So
yeah.
I will say that like
Home Alone. Just kidding.
I mean, I think I'm not going to put like a time limit on like when the recommendations have to be in here. So if you guys are watching this episode and you have not recommended something still, even though it's 4 weeks out from now, go ahead. Like
well, it's gonna take you a long time to get through these, so
yeah. So
especially if some of them are like a whole season. If you've got 9 episodes, that's 9 hours versus a movie, which would be more.
Well, not
like
always.
2 hours.
Some episodes are the 23-minute structure.
Yeah, but usually those usually have more episodes in a season, though. Or am I wrong on that?
Yeah,
that might be
like
old school thinking.
I don't really care depending on how long the season is. Like to me, like a season needs to, especially a first season, it needs to encapsulate what the series is and what makes it good. Like I already saw with Severance, it stars Adam Scott, and I'm already
Yes.
excited for that because
Yes, me
I
too.
have watched Parks and Recreations
Parks and
and I
Rec.
love him as an actor. I am very
I do
sad that
too.
he's not married to Leslie Knope in this series. But
Well,
like
they're married in
still,
real life in my head, so it's all good.
yeah, and in my head
And she's
canon, they're
eating
married in
waffles
real
somewhere.
life, and she is the president still.
Yes, and she's still eating waffles. We're all good.
So yeah, but either way, I just wanted to have this because I feel like there's a lot of just shows and movies that I missed out on. I will say Lloyd
that's really
recommended
good of
Power
you.
Rangers.
it's
Unfortunately, that one
interesting
was
too,
one
right?
that I had already seen. So I told him he can recommend another Power Rangers or something. But that is probably the only outlier. Like I think a lot of people are doing like critically acclaimed films or films that are like a lot more, how I put it, like maybe a little bit more gritty, if that makes sense. So to see Power Rangers, I kind of was pleasantly surprised that like it won't be just pure grit the entire time through.
Yeah.
But I don't know, maybe by the time that this episode's recorded, Lloyd will put in like, actually I want you to watch Kill Bill or something. So who knows?
Pulp Fiction. Oh man, that just made me think of Pulp Fiction. Well, it's hard too to know what you've already seen. Have you? So
Yeah,
I guess
I'm
you'll
saying,
let people know.
yeah, I let people know if like
Okay.
someone has, if they suggested a series I've already seen before.
I put Shawshank. I just put in there. It's such a great movie. Evan, you haven't seen it yet. Still, I know. I told you.
Jakey will be happy that you put that in.
I'll tell you why Evan didn't. I'm going to mansplain you, Evan. So Evan won't watch Shawshank, even though he's been told by so many people how fucking good it is, and that he, knowing his personality, would love this movie, and he won't watch it for one reason, and that's because everyone has told him to watch it, and they've told him it's good. Because
I
now
also have this mentality. That's why this is a challenge. This is why it's a challenge.
He and I have this in common. Like when
and
he
we
told
talked
me
about
that,
this on the
I was
podcast
like,
before already.
Yep,
so.
Exactly. Yep. So we all get it. So the fact that you're doing this, I think is awesome. It's taking yourself out of like a little comfort zone and giving these things a chance. So I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
Go in with low expectations. That's what I do.
On Sunday, I'm going out with my friend to some bookstores, and they sell Blu-rays there, and I'm gonna buy some Blu-rays of like some of the movies that I'm getting recommended. So.
Why? Why buy it? Why not just watch it online?
Because genuinely the bookstore that I'm going to sells like Blu-rays for only $3 a piece.
Oh,
and
nice.
It's literally
Well,
cheaper to just buy the movie than it is to just go pay for a streaming service, in my opinion.
No. Well, that too, and you'll have them, so you will have a really nice collection of really good
I'm
movies.
a Blu-ray collector. I like putting Blu-rays onto my server afterwards, just so like if I ever want to watch them in the future, I can just go onto my server and access them.
That's awesome. I love that.
I think it'll be a good challenge.
Too. I might pick some of these and watch them too.
I think you will. There was a challenge similarly to this one, but it was centered around books. There's a famous YouTuber who was doing like a book every month challenge, and he had like several that he had read before, but he wanted to reread them. So you kind of do it along with him. So and he would leave like a couple of months blank. And I actually wanted to participate, and I was a bit late to kind of like sign up for it, but I want to start trying to get into reading more, especially the more like classic literature, like The Critique of Pure Reason is one that I've always heard about. Don't know anything about that book, but I know it's a very popular and highly regarded read. I did buy at one point The Odyssey by Homer. I just haven't read that. And no, Blue, not Homer Simpson.
The Odyssey. I almost made a Homer remark, though. I'll be honest.
I know you too well. I knew you probably knew about it. I just wanted to just stop you in the track. I want to do, I want to commit to doing that. It's because I think it's very valuable to read more. But when it comes to like watching media, new stuff, I'm very bad for that. I will put off a lot of stuff.
8 Mile.
You know,
watch 8 Mile.
I've seen 8 Mile.
I've seen 8 Mile.
I know.
8 Mile's
I know. Obby really likes some of them. So
yeah.
The one that Lamb suggested, As You Are, MC Rocks. Isn't that the one we did a thing for MC Rocks? Or am I wrong on that? Someone had liked As You Are. We did a birthday thing, or maybe it was Liam.
I thought MC Rocks was the one, the Turtles one.
The turtle. You're right. The turtle. Yeah, maybe it was Liam that had done that As You Are. So I'm excited, Obby. This is good. You have to, give us updates on this as we.
So I am thinking about like by the end of the year, maybe we can do just a ranking of
Like a
everyone's.
recap? Yeah, let's do a recap. That would be awesome.
No. An
That'd be neat.
actual tier list
Like
ranking.
Yeah. Okay.
Like
That
we are
works.
going to judge every single person who recommended me on their taste by this one film.
Yep. You get a color ranking, and black is what the fuck are you thinking? Are you okay? Do you need
Is
help?
this
That was
film S
terrible.
tier? Is like Arctic, you recommended 12 Angry Men. I'm sorry, that was a C tier film. I have never seen 12 Angry Men. I've read the stage play / book of it, so I know what it happens in it. They still want me to watch it though, so hopefully it's
Oh,
good.
interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, this is
That
what
one
I'm
I've
looking.
actually
I'm scrolling through the
read.
channel, and there's a lot of really good stuff listed.
Mhm.
So this is good.
I am very
Grand
excited to start this, and
I
hopefully
reckon there are a lot
by
of there you'll like.
next
Someone
week
said
I start.
Inception.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Well,
Jakey. How many things did Jakey recommend?
Yeah, Jakey, you gave me Interstellar. That was your first pick. Everything else you recommend, not
Oh.
doing.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Wait, so you haven't
The-
seen Inception? Inception's really
as
good.
as me and Telly highlighted, like it's I'm not surprised that there are some people who did info dump like loads of suggestions. Like, yes, you were very clear cut on your rules of like I only want one suggestion, but like
Yeah.
you're asking a bunch of autistics to suggest things they
Yeah.
like and think.
I mean,
other
if
people
they
like-
want to do that,
you were
can,
gonna-
But again,
you were gonna
whatever
get
one
You're
was
gonna
your
take
first
the first.
recommendation.
Yep.
Yeah.
yeah,
Like-
no, yeah, and that's
So no matter
that's
what,
why I
make
just-
sure you think of that.
Because you can then put like someone else can put one and go, oh, I see someone else has already said this, so I'm gonna go with this one. And 3 other people also said this one in their list, so that's a good. It's not bad.
It's the main reason I gave you. It's the main reason that I just gave you Firefly, because that's only a 1-season
Oh my god,
TV
he did
show.
not shut up about this show, Obby, for like
It was
2 months.
amazing.
2
It's
months,
so
Obby. I
good.
had to hear about it.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I'm
It's
excited
incredible
though
show.
because I said
Viking.
before that I do want shows that are like not necessarily recent. Like I said, everyone, please don't give me just shows that were in the last 3 years. Everyone,
Like The Boys, yeah, something like that.
like as much as I love modern shows, I also think that it's important to get the culture and understanding
You're going
behind
for
more classical
classics.
stuff.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's great. I think this is fun.
I
Very
mean,
good.
I am very excited to get this challenge started. I have not seen the channel since we started recording, so I don't know what recommendations are. I guess apparently Lamb has recommended something since I've been in
Yeah.
it. So
Lamb said "As You Are," and I put Shawshank. So I
Okay.
think that's it. Since Hardcore Henry was the one before that. So
yeah, okay.
this is cool too, and it also teaches you a little about the personality of everybody too, to see
Mhm.
what movie. If you said you can only choose one classic movie, what would it be, or a classic show? So it's really cool. I like this.
Can't wait for the thumbnail of this video to just be me and Evan looking at something in the distance, and it just has the caption "Marriage and Movies."
Marriage and
Yeah.
movies.
I could see that. I could definitely
Yeah.
see that.
The way that I create our thumbnails probably going to be exactly that.
Yeah.
Yup,
So,
yup.
yeah.
So what else you got? You said you had a few things. What other topics you got today?
Oh, that was the only thing.
'Cause I'm tired. I'm tired, guys.
I'm pretty
You're
tired
tired?
too.
I
I've
am
had-
tired. TCG new
I'm-
packs dropped last night, so I was up a little bit late. Sorry about that.
Oh, hi. I'm pretty tired. I woke to bed at 4 a.m. last night, which was not particularly smart. And
4
the irony
a.m.,
is,
Evan.
and I told myself I was going to go to bed earlier than I did the night before when I went to bed at 3. So I ended up going to bed an hour later than I
So
was supposed
tonight-
to.
Make a goal to stay up even later, and then maybe I'll crash early.
Mm.
Clearly, it's backwards what you did.
Yeah, I think you're actually right. That's a
Go
good
to
idea.
sleep at 7 p.m. That way you can be up early for when you need to be.
How about you just sleep when you're tired and eat when you're hungry? And that's what we should be doing.
Well,
so, Jakey
I-
just said yes. I was waiting for someone to say
I
Shawshank.
think,
Yay.
I think that is often the best way to do it, and I think sometimes we do structure things too heavily. But at the same time, I kind of do want to have. I lose a lot of the day, and there are many things that I want to do in the day that I can't do if I wake up late. So for me, it's not a pressure on society. It's more of a this would improve my life if I was more disciplined with my sleep routine.
Imagine though, like, and I'm not
Yeah,
very
I
good at
know.
imagining things, but imagine though that if you could live your life where you sleep, you sleep when you're tired. I was at the doctor yesterday, and there was like like every doctor's office has a like a little pin board, like in the room with little pamphlets and stuff. And it said like a study has shown that people that take midday naps often are less stressed and live longer and more productive lives or something like that. And I was like, wow, they're totally saying take a nap during the day. And that goes with my thought of I don't know that we're really meant to sleep 8 to 10 hours at a time versus more like 5 and 5 or, 5 and 3 or, breaking it up. And because when I sleep less, I wake up like I was up at 5 a.m. this morning, and I woke up with energy, like ready to go. But I laid in bed for like an hour, scrolling through online, things like that. And then I got really tired and groggy. And like if I had just popped up and got
Mm.
going, I would have been a lot better. But and then of course I'm gonna be really tired later because I only got about 4.5 hours sleep. So it's kind of like I would love to do that though, and just get up. You wake up when you wake up, you do what you need to do. You eat when you're hungry. And I just really wonder like how much healthier we would be as a society, how much more productive we would be if we believed in this, where, you kind of did what your body said, not went by, a corporate schedule per se.
I mean,
I don't
I
know.
am doing that right now, technically. Uh,
And how does it
and
feel? Like, do you feel better?
I I think there's not a clear answer to this because whenever I do take a nap, it is just because I am generally tired. I don't take a nap every day, but I do take like frequent naps. I probably take like a nap twice a week, like in between, like maybe after something that I've done and I got very tired while doing it.
Yeah.
But I have done that, and I can say that like I don't know if maybe it's just because of like FOMO, but I feel like a lot less wanting to do it when I know that like there was a call going on at the same time that I was sleeping that I
Yeah.
really could have enjoyed participating in, if that makes sense. So,
Oh, it does. We know the FOMO, don't we, Evan?
yeah.
Oh, 100%.
So
Probably why Evan was
probably
up
I
till
think
4
it's a
a.m.
balance.
Yeah. Well, it's hard to say. Like I was definitely kind of. It's also just the time. Just for some reason, like often I'll just get stuck, and the time will just completely like burn, and I'll look at the clock again, and it's been like 2.5 hours. I'm like, holy fuck! Like I should have gone to bed like 4 hours ago.
Mm.
But should you have? That's the question, you see? So I
Yeah,
don't know.
yeah.
It's Evan and I have talked about this a lot over the years, and it's just like
You
I
guys
just
have talked
always
about
wonder what
a lot of everything. You guys never invite
we
me to your
we
conversations.
well,
So
they're
sad.
like, well, join birthday team number one, but it's one of those
Sorry,
like
I'd rather.
these are the talks. We literally these are the kind of things we talk about there. But it's just fun because it's like, what if, how different would we be? How many of us are jerks because we're just tired, because, our stomach hurts all the time because we're eating when we aren't even hungry, or, you just kind of wonder. I just think sometimes that real animalistic primal urge that you may
Just do
have
what
may be
everyone
right.
else does and just be a jerk online to get it out.
Yeah,
Just go to
Evan.
Reddit and complain about something. That's what
Yeah.
literally everyone else does. Just do that. Don't be a jerk to other people in your life. Don't be a jerk in
I can't be a
VCs.
jerk. It would hurt
I'm
me.
sorry. I really
I'm
don't
not.
get it. Here, I'm gonna go off on tangent right here. I
Oh,
don't
it's
get
fine.
it when people are like mean to others because like, oh, I didn't have my coffee, or I didn't get good
I
sleep or something like that. Like if
I
you need
can't
something to vent
stand
out
that
to, go
one.
on the internet. Like literally that's what
I
it's for.
also.
Just go
If you
vent
I
have
and
mean,
a
bitch at
headache,
people
take an
there.
Advil.
I actually, I mean, that actually brings me, and I'm gonna more focus in on this one. But I agree with what you said. I honestly hate with a burning passion the coffee culture of I'm gonna be mean until I've had my coffee. Yeah, that's not a sign of a problem, is it? Like that to
Yeah.
me, like
Well, the
I
coffee
find
doesn't make you less mean.
I didn't
You
say that.
trained your brain to tell you that. That's
You
all.
that's right.
Yeah.
That's
You
exactly that's
gaslit your
my
brain into
problem.
believing the
You
coffee
have
is the
That's like your
solution.
you you're addicted to coffee. Like I'm
to
sorry,
my
I am
coffee.
going to say it. Like I don't care what people say. I get it. Coffee isn't like it isn't like it isn't like a really unhealthy for you. So of course, if you're going to be addicted to coffee, that's fine. But like I can't stand that. I hate that so much. Like I literally can't function without my coffee. I
We gotta
need
talk
like
to Baby
4
about
cups
this.
a day. I I hate that. And I get it, each to their own. Some people love coffee and they're willing to bear that burden. Whatever. That's not my problem with coffee, right? There are people who are like that and that's great. My problem is that it's the culture surrounding coffee, that's normalized. It's almost glamorized. No, man, it is not
It is
cool to be
glamorized.
like dependent on something every day.
But
Like
they're not
that is not
dependent though.
cool.
That's my point. They're not.
Well,
They have it's like Obby said, they've gaslit themselves into believing
they're
having that cup of
mentally
coffee doesn't make them
they are
happier. It's just
yeah,
they've associated it with
they're not
because of
physically
marketing, literally
yeah,
marketing. Yeah, they will feel
they're not
better
physically
after they have this
dependent, but they're
coffee.
They
They could
but
have
they're
a soda,
mentally
they could
It's
drink
all
water.
mental association.
it's
Yeah,
yeah, and
it's
it
association.
just it just annoys me. It's like
Yeah,
I
I agree
don't
with Evan
and
here. Even knowing
I'm
that
very
it is like
much
that.
I'm very much a believer in you can do whatever you want. You can, and I think that again, like, of course, of all the things like coffee, there's worse things you could be doing. There's like worse things like in the world that you could have kind of like tricked yourself into being reliant on. It just irritates me
I haven't
because
had
of
my
how
Marmite.
you're very
I
funny.
haven't had my
It
beans and
hasn't
toast.
but I'm not like that. I'm
We're
not
funny,
like,
Obby.
oh, I'm gonna be a dick today. I haven't had my piri piri chicken. Sorry, guys. Like, no,
Oh
I'm not
God, here
gonna be a
comes the
dick
peri
just
peri
because I haven't
chicken
had my.
talk.
But I'm not mentally addicted to that stuff. Like, I don't, and I certainly am not like going to be ratsy with people. I don't know
It's
why I
just
just said ratsy. That's a new
association.
word. But
We've been
and I just
trained.
it's yeah, and that's my problem. It's not the people who are it. I get it. Like it makes sense. It's the training that has been done to these people that makes them do this and considers this normal and acceptable.
Mm.
And I feel like we
Look
need
at American
to
coffee sales. It works.
yeah, we need to, in my opinion, we need to reverse this. Again, drink the coffee if you want, drink as much as you
Where's
want, but
Buddy? Buddy will say drink
we need
water.
to we need to stop glamorizing this kind of like mental like this sort of mental like trickery and
It's
dependence
not
on
glamorizing.
coffee.
We need to not normalize it. It's not
Well,
even the
yeah.
glamorizing it.
Well,
It's the
glamorizing does lead to normalizing.
Susan's being a bitch
Mm.
because she hasn't had her coffee yet. We've normalized that
Yeah.
behavior. We've
No,
now
Susan,
said
you're
it's
just a
acceptable to
bitch.
be rude and mean because you haven't had something that's not going to cause you to not be rude and mean. It's just a beverage.
Yeah,
Give
Susan,
you a
you're
little
just a
caffeine
bitch.
boost, but a Diet Coke would have done that too. Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I agree. We need to
like
stop calling
so
out.
no,
We need to stop
it's
blaming
not.
the
We have
coffee, and we need to start
normalized it
blaming
and
Susan.
made it exactly. Damn you, Susan.
Like
God damn
Susan,
it,
you're like
Susan.
I'm sorry, like Susan, you're
But
not a
maybe
bitch.
Susan's that way because she wasn't meant to get up at 6 a.m. See, this goes back to my thought.
But well, maybe. But regardless, like Susan isn't a bitch because she hasn't got her coffee. Susan is just being a bitch and is blaming it on the coffee, which
Yeah,
is a completely
coffee's great.
different
Don't get
thing.
me wrong. I do love
No,
coffee,
coffee is fine.
but coffee
I
doesn't
also
make me a better person in the morning. It just gives me a
no.
nice warm beverage.
It
That's
doesn't
all.
even. It doesn't even like. And honestly, like I don't. I mean, I do drink coffee. I don't drink it very often. I probably drink coffee like maybe once or twice a week. Like I'm not a big coffee person. But I've never like noticed myself become more. Like, even in the mornings when I've had coffee, I have not felt a massive like boost of whoa. I'm now more awake. Like I remember the first time I had coffee in the morning. I was waiting. I was just sat like,
You were
when am I
waiting
gonna
for
get the
that
energy?
moment.
When am I gonna like feel awake and energized?
When
This
am I
is
not gonna
shit.
feel like a dick? God.
I was like, wait, this is what people keep. This is what I constantly hear about every fucking day. That was it. Like I didn't even
BB
like
feels
wake
so
up.
called out right now. BB, we
Yeah,
love
I'm
you.
sorry. I'm sorry, BB, but I gotta say what I gotta say.
I don't
Now
feel
keep you
bad.
awake.
I don't feel bad for you, BB. Sorry.
Keep you awake, yes. I can say that boost of caffeine will wake you up more.
I will say
but
that.
waking
It
you up
keeps
more
you
is different
awake.
than being a dick. Like there's a difference. There's a
Yeah,
difference.
I don't
That
know.
rush is not a go from being mean
It's
to
just-
nice. It's a okay, well,
it's
I'm
just
caffeinated now. I have a burst of energy.
It's just a pet peeve of mine. Like and again, it's not.
Like
I
the
don't actually
Advil if you have a
harbor.
headache thing. Me too.
I don't harbor any ill will at people who do it. Like, and again, I understand how all this is sort of like developed, but like it just irritates me. And I don't hate people for it. I don't judge people for it. I just find it very annoying at times. And my brain, I'm like, man, how did we get here?
How did we get here?
But
I ask that all the
Yep.
time.
Well, how did we
just
get to the
walk away.
outro of this episode?
How did
Oh my god.
we get here sitting at a Minecraft server talking to my friends? How did we
What
get
an elegant,
here?
what an elegant
Coffee,
and
sir. Just
philosophical way to end this episode. That's
Indeed,
magical.
indeed.
Indubitably.
I'll be honest, the last like 5 minutes I was trying to enter a gift card of DoorDash into my phone so that way I can order food right after we finish here. So
Valid.
What are you
I
ordering?
think I'm ready.
Tell us. No,
pizza.
we need to know your. Oh,
Jet's
I was
Pizza.
gonna say it's 9:30. I'm just Blue. How do you? Nice to meet you, Just Pizza.
No,
It's
Jet's
9:30.
Pizza.
Oh, Jet's Pizza. I'm sorry, I thought
Yeah,
you said
yeah.
Just Pizza. It's 9:39 a.m. here, and that is definitely acceptable time for pizza and chicken wings. So yes.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, I want to end it out. Evan, you're the one who did the intro, so you want to end us out?
Absolutely. Thank you all
If
very,
you
very
do
much
a ringer bell right now, I will kill you.
And if he doesn't, I will kill you. So yeah.
Thank you all very much for watching the latest episode of the Skader Things podcast. This has been me, Evan, one of the co-hosts, as well as Obby and Blue. If you like
Hello.
what you saw, remember to leave a like, comment, share, and also try and subscribe if possible. And if you don't, well then that's a you problem, and
that's okay.
whatever.
Obby
That's
and I
fine
don't
with
mind.
us. We'll sleep at
I don't
night.
mind
We'll
at
sleep
all.
at night. But yes, thank you
Evan
very
has
much for
problems
watching.
with it, but Obby and I don't.
Yeah,
Thank you
he's
all
gonna
very much
lose
for
sleep,
watching.
but we won't.
We won't. Like us
Thank you
or not,
all.
it's okay. Subscribe or not, we don't mind.
Thank you all very much for watching, and we will see you in the next episode. Bye.
Bye.